Happy Friday! Today is Friday. So before I start, I'm going to wash my hands. And as you join me, make sure that you are washing your hands too. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start. And for anyone that watches the replay, just comment down below replay so that I know that you watched. And so make sure your hands are clean. I'm going to run through some of the steps before you can actually start cooking. The number one step is actually you have to ask for permission. So all you boys and girls, you need to make sure that it's okay with mom or dad or your grandmother or whoever's watching you. You got to make sure that it is okay for you to cook. So you got to ask for your permission. The second step you need to do is make sure your hands are nice and washed. So I just washed mine. They are ready to go. The third thing you want to make sure is that your work area, so if you're working on your kitchen counter, you want to make sure that's also been wiped off and clean. Or if you're working at your kitchen table, you want to make sure that's all wiped off and nice and clean also. If you have long hair, you want to make sure to tie it up, put it in a headband or a ponytail, because when you're cooking and you're leaning over, you don't want your hair falling into your food because that wouldn't be very nice. I have super short hair, but I still tied it up. Not really tied it up, but I put a little pin in my hair to keep my bangs out of my eyes, mostly so I could see. Anyway, so those are all the essentials that you want to make sure to do before we can actually cook. The next thing that we do is we get out our recipe. So I want to show you this. This is funny. I'm sure the little kids won't understand or appreciate it, but this is my cookbook. Betty Crocker cookbook for boys and girls from when I was about 10 years old. It's from 1975. So there, I've just dated myself. Anyway, I usually don't keep anything. I like to throw everything away. So I'm surprised that I actually kept this, but I'm super glad I did. The recipe that we are making is called surprise muffins. I've never made them before, so we're going to be making these together for the first time. Now, what I always say to do is to read through all of your ingredients. I posted the ingredients that we'll need. And then I also like to read through all the steps. So there's only 5 steps. So this is a very easy recipe to make. You can hear that noise. That's my oven. I've already got it preheating. The recipe does say to preheat your oven to 400. So if you're cooking along with me, I did not set my oven for 400. I have a newer oven and I felt that was a little high. I set my oven for 350, which is pretty universal, a pretty standard size time or a setting. Can't talk. 350 is a standard setting. So if you're cooking along with me or you're going to cook these a little bit later on, make sure you have your oven preheated to 350. And now the next step after I've read all the instructions is to go ahead and get your muffin pan ready. So the recipe says you can use the paper liners, which I am not going to use the paper liners, so I'm going to just put these aside. I'm actually just going to use the muffin pan, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in each of these are called wells for the children that don't know. So in each of the little wells, I'm just going to use a little bit of vegetable oil in here. I'm just going to go around and around with my little brush to make sure that every single well has the cooking oil. That way your muffins won't stick to them. So if you're using the paper cups, you just want to pop 1 paper cup in each well. So let me know. I would love to know what you prefer. So in the comments, let me know what you prefer. The paper cups are easier for cleanup, I will say, but I like to just use the cooking oil. Sometimes I feel like I can't get the paper cups to come off of the muffin or the cupcake. All right, so now that we have this oiled up, I'm gonna set it aside. Quick question, Shannon, since you are live watching, are you and Sarah cooking with me or just watching and you'll cook later? All right, so I'm gonna put this aside, and then I'm gonna put this and this in my sink. So I like to clean up as I go, step by step. It just makes cleaning up as you go just makes it a lot easier. All right, now we're gonna start step number 1, or actually step number 2. Oh, you're cooking too, yay. All right, so step number 1 was the preheating and to get your muffin pan ready. So step number 2 is we're gonna beat 1 egg. We're going to beat 1 cup of milk. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the milk. So I'm gonna measure out 1 cup of milk. I'm using 2%, but you can use any milk you have. It doesn't matter. And then we're gonna put that in a small bowl. So I have my small bowl here. I'm gonna put my measuring cup. Oh, I'll need that for the oil. Can't put it away just yet. So I got my 1 cup of milk in my small bowl, and now I'm going to add 1 egg. There we go, 1 egg. Now, when baking, you want to make sure that your eggs are room temperature. So if it's not room temperature, that's okay. But with baking, it is better if you have a room temperature egg. So I'm going to tell you why that's important. Because it mixes better with your with the baking process. It'll just mix better with your batter. Also, if you have a super cold egg, it might take a little extra cooking time in the oven. So if you can remember to set out an egg before baking and get it to room temperature, that's good. If not, it doesn't really matter. All right, so now I have my 1 cup of milk and my 1 egg in my small bowl. And I'm going to add some vegetable oil. Actually, I'm using this Smart Balance. It's an oil blend. If the parents saw in the picture I posted of the ingredients, they called it salad oil. So I don't know if that was something that we called it back in the 70s, but anyway, we need a fourth of a cup. There we go. So I've got my 1/4 of a cup of oil. And I'm going to put that in my bowl. There we go. And now I'm going to put my measuring cup in my sink because I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to use a whisk to mix it all together. But if you don't have a whisk, you can just use a fork. So what I like to do is pop the yolk first. So if you're using a fork, pop your yolk and then whisk it all together. I'm going to use a whisk, so I'm going to pop my yolk, and I'm just going to whisk it together. So if you don't know, whisking is just stirring. That's all we're doing. Whisking is a fancy word for stirring. All right, we're going to whisk this together. And then I'm going to put this off to the side until we need it again. And now I'm going to get my bigger bowl. So I've got my bigger bowl right here. I'm going to take that out. And now it's time to mix the dry ingredients. So that is step number 3. So I have my recipe right here. And it says to mix 2 cups of flour. So if you joined me with the Magic Puff pancake, I showed you how I like to measure my flour. But I have my flour in this great big tub. And I have my 1 cup measuring cup here. We need 2 of these. So I like to get a great big scoop. And then I use this to level it off. So you just scrape it off like that. So now I have it nice and level. So I'm going to add 1 cup. I'm going to add the 2nd cup. I explained in my other video, if you don't have one of these, you can just use the back of a butter knife. Or if you have a chopstick, you can just use a chopstick. Anything that has a straight edge. So I'm just going to level that one off. So now we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, I'm going to put that up. There we go. Put that in my sink. Now I'm going to add a 1/4, whoops, just lost some, a 1/4 of a cup of regular sugar. So I've already got mine already mixed up. So we're going to add the sugar right in there. And we need 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So I have my teaspoon right here. It's a 1 teaspoon measurement. We need 3 of these. Hey Christy, thanks for watching. I'm making surprise muffins with the kiddos. So we need 3 of the teaspoons of baking powder. We're just gonna put it on here, and then it comes with this little edge that you can level it off with, just like we leveled off the flour. So that's 1, because you want it nice and level. See how it's level? You don't want it to be heaping, you want it flat. That's 2, you need 1 more, 3, into my bowl. The next ingredient that we need is 1 teaspoon of salt. So I have my salt in this little funny looking bowl that I got on a trip. So I have it, a level teaspoon of salt. There we go. Oh, thanks, Christy. All right, and now I'm just going to mix these dry ingredients around. Be very careful, because the flour, you don't want it to go poof up onto your face like that. So very carefully mix the dry ingredients all around. All right, I'm reading as we do this, so I make sure to do it all. Oops, look what I did. I got some dry ingredients on me. That's okay. Now, the next step is to add, remember we did the eggs, the milk, and what else was in here? Oil. Eggs, milk, and oil. Remember we have this waiting for us. Now we need to add this to the dry ingredients. So you can add it all at one time. You can just dump it all in. I'm going to make sure I get it all out with my scraper. And then we want to mix this around. So be very careful when you stir. I like to go around the edges to make it all incorporated. I kind of turn over my spatula a little bit like this. I like to use a bowl, as you can see, with a handle. If you don't have a bowl with a handle, that's okay. I like to use it. It makes it a little bit easier. Now your batter can be lumpy and bumpy. It doesn't matter. So Sarah, if you're cooking along with me, if you have lumpy, bumpy batter, it's okay. Now once you've got the liquid all mixed in with the flour, now you can go a little bit faster, okay? You might want to ask a grown-up for help. It can get a little tricky. It's kind of a thick batter, okay? There we go. And that's it. We don't want to over-mix it to make it tough, but I think that you just want to make sure that all of your dry ingredients are mixed in very well with the wet. You don't want any dry ingredients that haven't gotten mixed in. So just keep stirring it. You don't want to over stir, and then that's done. All right, so now we are moving on to step number 4, okay? So get your muffin pan that you've got ready to go. That was our first step. Remember, we got the muffin pan all ready. You either have your muffin liners inside, or you used oil like I did. And now we're gonna fill each well, but we're not filling them up, okay? Because we have something special we're gonna put on top. So I'm gonna use a medium-sized scoop. Whatever you have, if you're using a spoon, we wanna put about 1/3 of the way. So if you have a grown-up helping you, you only wanna fill them about 1/3, all right? So let's all start filling our muffins. I'm just going to do 1 scoop in each one using the medium-sized scoop. Having a scoop does go a lot quicker. There we go. And then after we do this, I'll talk about what the surprise part is in our muffins. This is the fun part. All right, this batter sure looks good. So the recipe says it will make 18 muffins. I don't think it will make 18. I'm thinking it's just going to make 12. 18 is a funny number anyway, don't you think? Like 18, why 18? All right, so all of the muffins have a scoop. Shannon and Sarah, are you caught up with me? All right, I'm gonna put this in the sink for washing. Now, the surprise part. In the ingredients, I'm sure you noticed it said your favorite jelly. So my favorite jelly is strawberry jelly. So I took some strawberry jelly out of the jar and I just put it in my little bowl here. I would love to know what jelly you're going to use for this recipe. So what we're going to do is you just need a teaspoon. I'm just using a regular teaspoon like to stir your coffee with. So I'm going to put 1 teaspoon on top of the muffin mix. All right, so everybody who's cooking along with me, let's do that together. We're just going to put 1 teaspoon right in the middle. Okay, there we go. So you could be maybe using grape jelly, you could be using apricot jelly, raspberry jelly, whatever is your favorite jelly. I have strawberry. There we go. Don't forget to let me know. Oh, you love strawberry too. Yay. Good job, Sarah. This is going to be so much fun. All right, so let's add our jelly. I think I might need a little bit more. I'll make do. I'll make do. I think I put a little bit too much in some of the first ones. That's okay. There we go. Yeah, I did. That's all right. My last muffin only gets a dot. That poor last muffin just got 1 itty bitty little tiny dot of jelly. That's okay. There we go. Okay, so now the next step is to put the rest of your batter on top. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape this down. I hope I have enough batter. If not, that's okay. Sometimes when cooking, you just have to say, that's okay, and just do your best. So now I'm going to use my small cookie scoop, and I'm just going to put 1 small little scoop right on top of my jelly. There we go. So y'all follow along with me. 1 little, if you're using a tablespoon, just use a tablespoon, or if you're using a teaspoon, you can use a teaspoon. It doesn't really matter. Just put 1 little bit right on the top of your muffin. There we go. Ooh, I can't wait to eat these. They're gonna be so yummy. Who's excited about eating these muffins? Okay, I think we're gonna have just enough muffin mix. There we go. Oh yeah, perfect. I actually have a little bit of leftover muffin mix, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little bit more on whichever muffin looks like it needs a little more batter. So this one, I had a lot of jelly, so I'm gonna add a little bit more muffin mix to that one because it looked like it needed a little bit more. Don't forget, there's muffin mix on your spoon, so scrape your spoon, get that off. We don't wanna waste any of this yummy batter. So I'm gonna go like that, put a little bit more on that one. You kind of want them all to be even so that they'll cook evenly. There we go. All right, I'm just gonna scrape this one last time. Don't want to waste any batter. There we go. Okay, so the final step is this goes into your preheated oven, and this is when you have to ask mom to help you or a grown-up that's there with you to help you. You want to just get that little bit off of there. All right, so now the next step is it goes in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes or until they are a nice golden brown color. So I'm going to put mine in my oven. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes and then I can check on them at 20 minutes to see if they're nice and golden brown. If they need another few minutes, then I can just leave them in the oven for another few minutes. So if I have any older kids watching and you want to double this recipe, you want to make 24 muffins, then that is super easy to do. You will just double all of your ingredients. So instead of using 1 egg, you would use 2 eggs. Instead of 1 cup of milk, you would be using 2 cups of milk. So it's very easy to double a recipe. So you just would double your ingredients. So for 1/4 of a cup of sugar, what would you need if you were doubling it? I don't think I have any older kids watching, but if you were doubling your recipe and it was 1/4 of a cup of sugar, you would then need 1/2 a cup of sugar. So it's super easy to double a recipe. So your homework assignment, I want you to please take a picture of your surprise muffins and post them below in the comments. If you want to post a picture with you and your muffins, that would be great too, because I would love to see you as well. Thank you so much for watching me, boys and girls. Shannon, thank you for cooking along. You and Sarah. Sarah, I hope you enjoy your muffin. Bye, guys. Stay tuned for some more kids cooking coming up next week. Bye. Surprise muffins are done, so I just wanted to pop on and show how I am removing them from the muffin pan. I'm using my skinny scraper. So I'm just going around the muffin and they just pop out super easy. Look, don't they look delicious? Don't they look delicious? I can't wait to eat my muffin. So thank you for those that watched my live kids cooking class with the surprise muffins. If you did not watch it, go back. You can always watch the replay. Just comment replay so that I know that you watched it. And these are some surprise muffins. They are a basic muffin recipe that has a surprise jelly of your choice. I did strawberry jelly in mine. They look really good. I can't wait to bite into one and eat it. I did have a big breakfast today. I had eggs and toast, so I'm not actually even hungry. But this will be absolutely delicious a little later on with a nice cup of coffee, or if you're a kiddo, a nice glass of milk. All right, thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.